Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another fantastic boot review of a remake from a brand that doesn't usually do remakes, Mizuno. The Mizuno Wave Ignitus 4 remake. All right, fam, here we go. So the Wave Ignitus made in Japan is a boot that released in 2016. They have brought it back. It's the version 4 of that boot. And it's very interesting because Mizuno hasn't done a lot of remakes. They've done a couple recently, given the new wave of doing the remakes for the boot market. But this is a boot that I'm very excited for because it is, I think, identical to the Wave Ignitus 4 that came out back in 2016. It's in the yellow and black colorway, which, not really a fan of yellow, but it does look cool and it does look really interesting. The box is a very typical Mizuno box, so it's got a really cool detail embossed in gold, and it says the archive. And then it says made in Japan, which I think is a super, super cool addition. These are a US 9, UK 8, Euro 42, and Japan 27. I don't know if that means anything to you, but if you are watching from Japan, thank you so much for watching. The Wave Ignitus Japan football. Let's see, what else has to go in the box? That is it. Let's have a look at what these look like on, ooh, oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, so these are the Wave Ignitus 4 remakes, the Wave Ignitus remakes. Let's get these out of the box and we will see, okay, any other details. So the string bag that comes with it just says the archive. That's super, super cool. So the archive, and then it says made in Japan on the bottom as well in gold, which I think is a really, really cool detail. Let's get this box out of the way and talk a little bit about this Wave Ignitus 4. Okay, so the Wave Ignitus Japan is a really interesting boot because it incorporates several different types of material all brought into one. So you've got this really super premium K leather on the outside, the lateral part of the boot, and then the selling point of this boot, which is why they made it in the first place, was this biocontrol panel that goes all the way up on the instep. And what this actually is supposed to do is reduce spin on the ball, and so it's better accuracy in your shots and in your passing. Now, the original version of this boot and the successive versions 2, 3, and now 4 were all built around the premise of doing that crazy knuckleball. So a lot of players who really loved that technique of hitting the ball up and over, so it had a top spin and dipped without any spin on the ball. This is what this boot was marketed for. And I think the cushion control pads on the instep plus this biocontrol panel all go together to create this kind of interesting amalgamation of materials that ends up being this really incredible looking football boot. They have bladed studs on the bottom in this absolutely wacky sole plate look. It's very aggressive looking. It's super interesting. It does look very anatomical, which is interesting. And from the top of the football boot and from the bottom, they look very similar to the Rebula cups as far as shape goes. I think if you look at it from this way and you put this and a Rebula cup next to each other, obviously the technology is a little bit different, but the shape of the boot looks very, very similar to me. And the other piece that is part of the name, the Wave Ignitus, is this wave technology in the bottom. And that's supposed to add a little bit of, I think it's adding cushioning and a little bit more spring to the sole plate. I could be wrong. I didn't do a ton of research on the Wave technology, but I know that it is part of their running shoe line as well. So that's something that's been in their lineup for a long time. They included it in for comfort as well. There is the very typical gorgeous suede liner on the inside of this football boot in a gray color. You've got the Made in Japan instruction manual for cleaning on the inside, and then you've got sort of a microfiber insole, which is really nice as well. I'll pull some of this stuff out and then we'll take a look at the insole. So again, as I mentioned before, this is a boot that has so much crazy technology in all at once. This is the microfiber insert, It's actually much more padded in the heel than you might think, and it's got a lot more shape than a lot of other boot manufacturers. And I think what that does is it really allows them to have it hug your foot, and you're gonna notice it when your foot is inside this boot. So we'll get this laces out and put it back in here. So the leather on the outside is one of the materials they use. They use a synthetic on the lateral side of the boot towards the midfoot and the heel liner. You've got an external heel counter, which you can see very clearly in the black right there. And then you've got the mesh pods right here, those cushion control pads right here, all the way up to sort of that part of your foot where you would really strike the ball with a long ball. And then of course you've got that bio control panel. Now it's not as sticky as you might think. It's got a matte finish to it, and it almost looks like you've got reverse spikes. So if you remember my review, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's the Predator, let's see, the Predator Edge is the new one. So the Predator, now I'm forgetting the name, I'm blanking on the name. Instinct, no, not Instinct. The one that just came before this, Mutator, after Mutator. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, with the Demon Skin spikes. So the Demon Skin spikes kind of shot forward so that it would make the ball, it went, as soon as you hit the ball this way, it would really cause the ball to spin. This is the opposite, so they flow this way almost. And what that might do, that's the idea at least, is that these will be very good for getting that knuckleball that a lot of players try to do. The old Cristiano Ronaldo free kick, and Gareth Bale's done it, and who else? I'm trying to think. There's a couple other players that have done it a lot. Yeah, anyway. So that's the technology on the instep, which is super, super cool. It says Ignitus right here on the lateral side, which is awesome. And as far as other tech in this boot goes, it is very, very similar to the original that was released in 2016. It's very cool that they brought this one back. Although I do think the one that, I believe it's the second or third generation that was the most popular that really kicked this one off. And I do believe that that one would have been perhaps a better investment on Mizuno's end to do a remake of the most popular one. But I think it is really cool to see that they are doing stuff like this that is different, it's fun, they're doing a one-to-one remake, and it's just something that the boot market is really craving right now, which is, hey, you gotta follow where the demand is. The one thing that I am really interested by is the material in the laces. They're almost sticky, like they almost have like a rubbery finish to them where they're kind of sticky, and my guess is that that's to keep the laces tied and so that you don't have your laces come undone during the game. But it is a little bit strange. When I first got them out of the box just now, my mind was like, that's super weird. They are kind of a gross sticky texture, but who knows? They're probably really advantageous to have when you are kicking the ball so much. Oftentimes I find when I have a shooting practice as opposed to just a normal training session, my shoelaces do come untied because I'm constantly hitting that knot over and over again, and it does, obviously with constant pressure and constant impact, it's going to get undone. So maybe the idea behind these laces is that they're a little bit more sticky, so they will stay tied most of the time. All of the seams, so the seam from the synthetic to the leather back to the other synthetic, and then the synthetic over here on the insole, or on the instep, excuse me, to the rubberized material, all look super premium. Again, this is a made in Japan model, so the tiny little section of leather that you get on the lateral side of the toe box is incredibly plush. It's incredibly, incredibly plush. You've got probably the softest leather you're gonna find, and most quality feeling leather you're going to find on most football boots. Obviously that's a tiny little piece of it, so it's not going to really impact the structure and the break-in time period, if you will, for this pair of football boots, because you do have the synthetic sort of in that midfoot. So if your width is in the forefoot, you actually might have a great opportunity to break these in really well. If you have a wider foot, like I do, we will find out in the field test and on-feet portion of the video whether these are truly a boot for wide-footed players. And of course, we're gonna have to test out shooting with this pair of boots, because I do think this will be a fantastic pair to test the theory of the no spin or the knuckleball. But the shape of this boot is really, I think, pretty neutral to me at least. It's got a really nice grippy thin heel liner back here, like heel area. And then it does have a little bit more width in this midfoot and of course in this forefoot area, pretty pointed at the toe, but I think that's pretty manageable for most people. So a very cool remake. I'm really glad at how close they made this to the original one from 2016. Again, this is the Mizuno Wave Ignitus Japan, made in Japan version, which we can always expect from the top quality from the Mizuno brand. And I'm really excited to try these on. I don't know if these are going to be a boot that I actually wear. I'll probably sell them, but I definitely think these are a cool pair to try on and obviously show you guys to give you guys an idea of what the Mizuno brand remakes actually look and feel like, and of course how they perform on the pitch. Let's hop straight into it. All right, fam, here we are out at the pitch. I've got the Mizuno Wave Ignitus remakes made in Japan. Very, very interesting boots. I'm excited to see how they fit and feel on feet. I've got them all laced up. They actually come only half laced. I think that's just to make them look really cool in the packaging, but I've got them all laced up and ready to go. I'm not wearing grip socks, so keep that in mind as I describe the fit and feel. I don't wear grip socks for reviews since a couple months ago, just because I wanted to make sure that they were just an authentic fit and feel. The grip sock will basically just add extra grip to whatever the fit and feel of the boot is, or a little bit of extra cushion if that is what the type of grip sock that you decide. So I'm assuming these are going to fit a lot like a Rebula Cup out of the box, obviously with a little bit of that rubberized material for the shooting and the like anti-swerve basically, and we'll see how these go. Here we go. Totally. But fantastic lockdown in the heel, as Mizuno does really well most of the time. We'll get this other one on as well. Yeah, these fit super nice. These are awesome. I really like how these fit straight out of the box. They are really, really comfortable. I think the synthetic actually does a really nice job of molding to your foot. Obviously, you can expect that from a made in Japan Mizuno model, but let's get these laced up and see actually how they feel. It is, these sticky laces really get to me. I don't know why. I think they're kind of gross, but you can always replace them with a pair of laces on your own. I know Josh from SR4U has his own laces, and there's a couple other, like you can usually just buy them at a soccer store really anywhere, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Okay, get these laced up and we'll go from there. All right, so here we go. So the one thing that I'm noticing right away outside of the fit is the very, very good heel lockdown and the sole plate. The sole plate is definitely really unique feeling. I don't know how to, I really genuinely don't know how to describe it. The studs are super thick, and so it feels almost like I've got like big pieces of plastic that I'm kind of like standing on, which can be a good thing, I guess, on certain surfaces. On this turf, I don't know if I'd wear these on like an artificial ground like this. I've got a ball, so we'll see how the touch is. Yeah, the touch is totally fine. The touch is really good, actually. I think it's a really comfortable pair of football boots that I think will mold to your foot as you wear them in. Again, the fit I think is going to be really fantastic, and it's got a really cool technology in that shooting area where you do have that, like, I think it's called like bio control. This is like 24 hours after I've filmed the first part, so I'm forgetting the name of the zone, that like plasticky part right here that's supposed to do like the anti-swerve or anti-curl. But yeah, so these are the Wave Ignitus. Not a fan of yellow shoes. I know you guys know that already, but I definitely think these are a really cool idea, and I applaud Mizuno for making such a close replica of the originals. I think this is a great idea. I do think these actually fit really nicely. I just think they're not for me. I don't think I would ever wear this type of boot on in a game or in a training session, just because they're just not my type of boot as much as I want them to be. They're just not a kind of boot that I would probably wear on a regular basis, and they're not something that's like special edition enough, at least for me, or holds the nostalgia in my heart as something that I would be wearing. But if you want to purchase a pair, I definitely think you'd enjoy them. Imagine the fit of a Rebula Cup with a little more stiffness in that interior toe area where
the rubberized material is. It is really flexible, but it's a tiny bit. Obviously the Rebula Cup has an all leather forefoot. That's not the case obviously with this. It's just on the lateral sides, and then you've got on the medial sides you've got that plasticky sensation. So definitely keep that in mind if you are going to purchase a pair. But the touch on these is really nice. It's really soft. It's a pretty thin leather, but you still get that good padding sensation as well. And you guys will see some shots that I take with these and hopefully get a good sense of how these are as boots to wear. But pretty impressed with these. Well done, Mizuno. I wouldn't probably give these a high rating just because I'm not a huge fan of the way that I feel with the sole plate. I don't think the sole plate's very good, at least in my the front part of it. The back part of it is really interesting. That wave material, like that wave technology that they have, is kind of interesting. It feels almost like bouncy, if you will. I don't. That's kind of a weird thing to say about football boots, but it definitely feels a little bit like it gives you a little bit of extra something. But yeah, that's it for the review of the Mizuno Wave Ignitus Remakes, the made in Japan model. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Would love to have you guys join the fam. As always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.